So this video is going to be like a quick tutorial to how to get your footing in Ultima Online if you want to try it out for the first time and you don't really know what you're doing. Go to the link on screen to make a trial account and download the classic client. I really encourage you to get the classic client and not the enhanced, so that you'll have the same setup as my video. And also the enhanced client is a disaster. So go to that link and you can create a trial account. Real quickly, the main limitations for trial accounts, there's quite a few of them. They really, I guess they're trying to force you to pay for it, but it just makes the trial account a little less fun. But the main limitations of trial accounts are you can't place houses, so you can't have your own house. You can't use vendor search, so it's hard for you to find stuff. You can't use skill and stat scrolls. Those are scrolls that increase your caps for skills or give you skills or accelerate your gains. You can't use commodity deeds, which allow you to carry around huge amounts of resources that your character would use. And you can't use items that require expansions, of course. So special expansion artifacts or randomized weapons and armor with certain expansion properties. There's other limitations than those, but those are the ones that matter most. So I'm going to do this video without using any of that stuff. So to get to this screen, you just first choose Atlantic as the server because it's the most active one, and then choose new character. So we're going to make a new character. We're going to call him, we'll call him Paladin guy because he's going to be a Paladin build. None of this other stuff really matters. Pick human. Each of the races has like its own advantages and disadvantages and stuff. Humans, I don't think you can be elf or gargoyle without having an expansion anyway, but the human class, well, it tells you what it does, but basically it has a jack of all trades where you have an implicit 20 skill in every skill that there is, which is kind of cool. And you can carry more things, and there's some other advantages. But anyway, so we're going to pick human. We're going to go to advanced because these other options here, ninja, whatever, they usually start the skill, like give you like 3 skills at around 30. But as you raise skills higher, they're harder and harder to gain. So it's better to start 2 skills at 50 instead. So that's why I pick advanced. We're a paladin, so we're gonna prioritize having high strength and dexterity, and not prioritize intelligence too much. I don't know. We could set here. This is fine. In fact, I'm gonna even start this lower. How about that? That's pretty good. We're gonna start off picking 50 swordsmanship. 50. And then 50 chivalry, I think will work best. That's the paladin skill. That's going to allow us to cast spells. Whatever. We'll pick healing, I guess. Okay. You can pick where you want to start, but you might as well just start in New Haven. That's where everybody starts. This is the bank, first of all. If you say bank, you can open it. This is where you keep your money. If you put your gold in there, it kind of disappears, but you can see your bank balance by clicking the banker and going open bank box, and it'll open this box where you can keep items and stuff. Really? I don't know why that disappeared. Anyway, so I can put items in here and it'll be safe even if my account goes inactive or whatever. I'll never lose it. So say you had none of this open. I want to show how you can get it open. Hit paper doll and then it'll open this. You can click this and that'll be your inventory, and we'll put it over there. You can click the map and you'll get this. You can make it small or big, and then okay, so when you open the bank box like this, it shows your gold in your account. So I'm not actually using a trial account, so I have more than 1,000, but you really only start with 1,000. So we're gonna pretend that I only have 1,000 for the sake of illustration. The reason that I can say bank and open my bank box is because I'm near this NPC. It has nothing to do with where I'm standing. This NPC doesn't leave this area, but the ability to do that is triggered by the fact that the NPC is standing here. So it's really the proximity to this NPC that allows me to open the bank box. So the first thing we're going to do is, since we only have 1,000 gold, we're going to make some quick gold. You can fight monsters for gold, but it makes more sense to do other things right now since we only have 1,000 and we don't want to spend it right now and then have to go kill monsters for more. We want to get more skills in order and get better equipment and navigation abilities, and that requires some more gold. So we're going to do that instead of fighting. Moon gates let you teleport to other moon gates. These take you to many of the key places in the game. The first thing you do is you select what's called a facet. These are facets. And then within that, after you pick a facet, there's places that you can go within that facet. Felucca has the PvP rule set, but all these other places are safe. You can't PvP in them. You can't steal things from other players. So when you're a new player, just stay out of Felucca. You can go to any of the other ones. The most important place, though, is going to be Luna in Malas. So click Malas facet and go to Luna and click OK. And then we're teleported to Luna. First, I'm going to show you a quick way to make like 100,000 gold from nothing, so we can do other things to get our character set up. Actually, another way is just to run to the bank, which is right here, and ask people for some gold. And many times people will just drop it on you to help you out. Ultima has 20 years of gold coming into the economy and very little leaving. So basically, there's massive hyperinflation, and a lot of items are worth over 100 million gold. So rich players might just spare you some if you ask for it. So, can anyone help a new player with 100k, please? So someone might drop 100k on us just to be cool. I wouldn't be surprised. My suggestion, if you do that, so you can hit Control Q and it'll pop up the last thing you said if you want to spam something. My suggestion, if you do that, is to actually say a particular amount of gold, because you're more likely to get it if you specify the amount than just saying, someone help me out. So like if I just look at a player here, double click them, you can see their paper doll and you can look at their items. Like this, just this item on him is worth 45 million. Okay. This is worth like 8 million gold. This is worth like, I would guess, I don't know, 9 to 13 million. So to a lot of these players, it's just not, they'll be nice, they'll help you out. But if you don't want to stand around groveling, you can do this. Go to the tailor, which is here, and go to buy. Click on them, go to buy. Purchase scissors and as many bolts of cloth as you can. So scissors, double click that. And we only have 1,000 gold, so okay, so we can only get 2 bolts of cloth. So buy that. Now, we started with healing, so I didn't realize this, but they gave us 50 bandages. Because the healing skill, you double click a bandage and use it on yourself, and it heals you on a leg. So that'll be useful in a second. But what you do is you take the scissors, you use them on the cloth, and it turns into cut cloth. Then you cut them again, and you get bandages. Now, what you can do is you can run to the NPC healer, which there happens to be one like just a couple screens away. Oh, by the way, the reason that I can see like through things, I guess I already, it's so weird, this is a new character, but for some reason it's set already. But you go to this Ultima symbol after going to options here, and there's this thing called use circle of transparency. You click that and then put this at full. I just recommend playing always with that. It allows you to see under things. If I didn't have this, it would look like this and I wouldn't even be able to see myself. So definitely use circle of transparency. And there's something else I wanted to... Yeah, go on the mouse here and uncheck enable pathfinding, because I think you'll, on a new account, you'll start with pathfinding enabled, and that's really annoying. What it does if it's enabled is if I double clicked my right mouse click, it would override whatever I'm doing and just slowly walk to that spot. And it's really frustrating. So, okay, so we use circle of transparency. All right, here is the healer NPC. We're going to sell our bandages. And now we started with 1,000 gold and we're going to get 1,900. And because we started with healing, we can sell more and get 2,850 gold. Now we can't carry infinite stuff, so I'm going to drop that back in the bank. And we had 2,850 gold. So now we're going to buy as many of these as we can. We bought 8. Cut that. Cut that. Now we have 400. So I'm going to stop doing this after this. But, you know, you could keep doing this until you have like 100,000 gold. As you can see, now I'm going to get 7,200. And, you know, next time I'm going to basically double that or more. Maybe I'll get to 20,000 and then... so you can get a lot of gold. So once we have gold, we can do some other things. Also, before we continue, NPCs that sell commodities like arrows, bolts, cloth, ingots, or whatever will usually buy them from you too. And the buy-sell prices are different. But also these prices vary from NPC to NPC. So you can look for, say, provisioner like him, NPC in town A, and buy arrows and then sell them to a bowyer in town B. There's a bowyer. So basically you just, you know, look at the prices. Now the buy and sell prices are different, so you'd have to buy one of each to see the sell prices. And you can see, okay, he pays 32, he pays 33. Oops. He pays 40. He pays 40 for bolts. So if I can find somewhere that I can buy bolts for, you know, 15 gold, I'm going to triple my money just by buying a bunch of them and coming back here and selling them. So when players buy commodities, every time you buy the max amount you can, which is usually 500, it'll, maybe it's every 1,000, the price increases. When you buy 1,000 of them, the price goes up 1 gold. So it'll keep being more and more expensive the more people buy them. So in a busy town like Luna, people buy the commodities all the time. The prices are higher. The more you sell, the price drops. So you can't do this forever, but it's really good for a new player that doesn't have any other way to make gold. You can quickly get yourself up to 1,000,000 gold by not doing it for that long. And we're going to need that before we do other stuff. So if you say withdrawal and you're near the bank and then an amount, it'll drop that amount of gold in your pack. So I say withdrawal 2,000 and I got 2,000 gold. Now, if we didn't start with chivalry, we could buy some of the skill and the chivalry book from the NPC over here called the Walker, the Keeper of Chivalry. What you do is you click him and you go to train chivalry. Now it's ghost out because I have 50 and he would only train up to like 30 something. But if I didn't have it, he would say an amount of money and then I would just drop that amount on him and it would train up my skill. And you can also, if you didn't start with chivalry, you could buy the chivalry book here. But because we started with the skill, it started us with the spell book. So we'll talk about that soon. Now, since we only started with 20 healing, let's do that with the healer. The weird thing is that the NPCs that train stuff, like if I go to train healing, he says the price is 84. So he'll train me 8.4 more skills is the max. That's basically what that means. So 0.1 skills is 10 gold on all these NPCs. But this guy's just a healer. This is the guild mistress. So you want to go to the guild mistress and do that. And they do more. So you want to always go to the mistress. All right. So now it says my healing went to 31.4. So now I'm as far as I can get from an NPC. Unless there's some other NPC that does higher, but I don't think so. So let's talk about a sample build that you could use. Here's a sample build. You have 720 total skills that you can distribute across so many, I don't even know how many skills, but there's like 60 skills or something like that. This is a typical build for a Paladin warrior Dexter. And then the other thing that you kind of get to choose that will go up as you fight is your strength, dexterity, and intelligence. And if your character is built the best way that it can, you can have 260 total of those. And you want to prioritize dexterity. So this is kind of like a good sample. So why don't we put our desired skills into a custom section of our skills menu. We'll call this, my build. And we're just going to move the skills over. So we had swordsmanship. Okay, so that's 7. So these are the skills we want. We want them all set to up. You can change this to down or locked. And that's because the cap there's a cap on the sum of these skills that you can have. So if you get to that cap and you want to gain in something, you have to lose something else that you have. So we don't want to gain things that aren't intended. So we're just going to basically lock or set down all the rest of the skills. Whew, okay. And it turned out just when you run around and stuff, you gain in focus automatically. So I'm going to set that down, and I just threw this in this menu just cause, so I can see that it goes down when it needs to. So firstly, the way skills work is they all go from 0 to 100. But with these white scrolls called power scrolls, some of the skills can have their cap increased up to 120. So there's like power scrolls that bring you up to 105 cap, 110, 115, and 120. There's no reason to go to 110 if you want to eventually go to 120, other than the 120 ones are a lot more expensive. But you can also actually get them the way that they actually enter the game, which is through champion spawns. So if you play spawns, they might pop in your pack, and and then you don't have to buy them. But usually, whatever one pops in your pack isn't going to be the one you want, so you'll just sell it and go buy the one you want. But that's not for a while. You don't have to worry about that till you get your skills up to 100 and want to increase them. So let's talk about what the skills are and what the point of them and why this build. So swordsmanship is the melee skill we chose. You could have chose archery or mace fighting or fencing. We chose swordsmanship. It's one of the more common melee skills that people choose. The more you have in a melee skill, the higher your chance of successfully hitting your target. So a lot of times when you swing, you'll miss. If you have more swordsmanship, it's more likely that you're gonna hit. We want that as high as possible. Tactics has two main functions. The main one is that it increases the melee damage you do. More tactics means more damage per hit. Also, you need 70 tactics and 70 swordsmanship to use the primary special ability on any swordsmanship weapon. So every swordsmanship weapon has primary and secondary abilities. We'll talk about that later, but your tactics has to be a certain amount to use them. Anatomy has an active function which lets you evaluate another player or monster's strength and dexterity, but nobody really uses this. The way that you do that is you just any skill that has this like little blue thing, that means that you can use it actively, which means if you drag it out like this and you double click it, you can use it. And my anatomy is really low. As you can see, it helped me gain by trying to do that, but I don't have enough for it to tell me anything. But it'll tell me in words. It's so useless. Nobody uses this. Anyway, forget it. The reason that we want anatomy on this build is that it increases the amount of damage you'll do per hit significantly. It also adds to how much hit points you'll heal when you heal with bandages. In fact, with 100 anatomy, it's going to add 17 hit points every time you heal successfully with a bandage. Whatever your anatomy skill is, you divide it by 6, and that's how much HP is going to be added when you heal with a bandage extra for having the anatomy skill. So when you have 100 anatomy skill, you get about 17 extra hit points per heal. So it's pretty significant. And also, there's a requirement of 60 anatomy for bandages to heal poison, and for bandages to resurrect a dead player, you need 80 anatomy skill. So you definitely want at least 80 on your build if you're going to use healing. It's just really important and works together with healing. Healing, so we've talked about a bunch of times. It lets you recover HP by using bandages on yourself. You can also use them on nearby players or pets. There's like a lag between the time that you use it on yourself and when your HP actually recovers, if it's successful. More healing skill means greater likelihood that the heal is successful, which eventually isn't even an issue. And it also increases the amount healed. So the amount healed is a function of anatomy and healing skill, with healing being more important of the two. That time lag we talked about is reduced by your dexterity on your character. Resisting spells, it's questionable skill. If there's any skill that could be removed on this template, on this build, it would be resisting spells. Maybe you could switch out for focus, or even focus, maybe not that useful. Switch it out for Bushido or necromancy or something. Or you could increase some of your lower skills higher, like my build has anatomy and tactics, I think, at 100. You could put those at 120 each instead, and that's 40 skill points, and increase other stuff and just get rid of this whole slot. But anyway, so basically it just lessens the severity of spells that lower stats or last for a specific amount of time, like curses, poison, blood oath, sleep, pain spike. Other than pain spike, it does not prevent direct damage spells or reduce the damage done by them, as a lot of people mistakenly think. So it's useful, but you can still have a good build without it. So maybe play around with this slot and put something else in place of it. Parrying. Parrying allows a chance to completely block melee blows if you're wearing a shield. That means, unless you pair it with Bushido, uh, that you need to wear a shield to get this benefit, and that means sticking to only one-handed weapons, which is a limitation. Like this weapon that we have, it says one-handed weapon there. Um, Different types of weapons, some are two-handed, some are one-handed, and it's a pretty big limitation to only use one-handed weapons, but wearing a shield is pretty awesome. It's another slot with all kinds of bonuses on it, so it can be really valuable for more than just parrying to use one-handed weapons. Shields can have extra resist on them. They can have a bunch of stat increases. The last skill you use a lot of is Chivalry. This is the Paladin skill. Before talking through it, though, we need to tithe gold. So let's just pretend we made 100,000 gold with our little trick with NPCs. The tithe points, they're used to cast Chivalry spells, and you can tithe at the Ankh upstairs, right here, the cross here. What you do is you just click it, and you go to tithe gold, and you just, you have to go up by one. You should do, like, if you can afford it, just do all 100,000. Basically, once you do it, it stays on your character, and you can basically just do it and forget about it. Like 100,000 tithe points is gonna last you months and months and months. You'll probably forget it's even part of the game. So tithe some gold, and you open the Chivalry book, and there's all these spells you can cast. Well, it tells you here your available tithe points, which is what I just put on it. And then under each spell, it tells you how much tithing it costs, how much mana it costs. So it uses mana, which is shown here on your health bar thing. And then it tells you the minimum Chivalry skill you need. You have 50, so you'd be able to cast the spell. Oh, I'm not poisoned, so I can't do it. Anyway, to gain in Chivalry, you want to cast whichever spell has the largest minimum skill that's below yours. So that'll gain you the best. So you can drag spells out of the spell book and then just click them later on to cast them. So now that we have all the spells out, we're going to talk through them real quick because you use them all the time. Close Wounds. This spell heals HP based on karma. So, yeah, you can heal with bandages because we're going to have the healing skill. But this is another way that you can heal life. That's pretty useful. It's pretty useful to have both. So the amount that you heal is based on karma. Why don't we get a horse at the stable so that we can run around faster, and then I'll explain karma real quick. So here's the stable. Click the stable animal trainer and buy a horse. 573 gold. Get on it. Woo! Now I'm much faster. So if we go to Ilshanar Honesty, you're going to see all these monsters are gray. By the way, if you hold Control and Shift, it shows all other players and items and monsters on the screen. And it makes it easier to click them and stuff. So these are gray. Sometimes you'll see monsters that are red. Gray and red are like evil monsters, and when you kill them, your karma will increase. But if you go to, say, spirituality, you'll see that some of the monsters are blue. I can't find any. I hear them. Oh, there. So this monster is blue. It won't attack me because I don't have bad karma, but if I have bad karma, it'd attack me. But anyway, killing these blue monsters will decrease our karma because they're good. So it's important for a paladin. Like almost all the chivalry spells are more powerful with better karma and almost useless if your karma is terrible. So it matters what kind of monsters you fight. So remove curse, that is right here. That removes curses, and it's also more effective with higher karma. Big surprise. Curses will usually temporarily lower your strength, dexterity, or intelligence, or resists, which we'll discuss later. Cleanse by fire cures poison. Consecrate weapon. It's one of the most useful spells. It gives you a chance every swing of hitting the monster with 100% in the damage type that they're weakest against. It also increases your base damage done. So sometimes it can be extremely effective or not so effective depending on the monster's resist. How long the spell lasts is based on karma. You'll hit with their weakest resist type 100% of the time with 80 chivalry. So that's one reason the sample build has that set to 80. Let's see if we can show you. So double click your health bar and you get all these stats here. And there's this blue button here. And if you click that, it has this little gump that tells you your buffs and debuffs. And when I cast the spell successfully, it shows what the buff is and how long it's going to last. Didn't last very long because my karma's not very good, but as you fight stuff, you know, go to a graveyard, fight some evil stuff, and it'll last longer and longer. Sacred Journey is by far the most useful of them all because it lets you teleport nearly anywhere in the game, as long as you have a rune to that location. So runes and books that hold them, called rune books, are made by scribe players, and mages can mark any location where they're standing onto the rune. And you use this spell and then target the rune to teleport to wherever that rune goes. So let's go see. Some players make giant rune libraries of all kinds of locations for the public to use. So let's go see one before continuing on. These rune libraries are really useful for brand new players. So let's go back to Luna, Amalis Luna. And just right here, the guy who owns this house has all, these are rune books. What's going on? I don't know why. Sometimes it bugs out and you can't. There we go. It fizzled. Not having very good luck here. Anyway, so he color codes them in his rune library. These are Feluca ones. These blue ones are Tremel. Red's Feluca. Green is like the Japanese area of the game. I think this is... Oh, these are not. This is Malas. Malas is just Luna and Umbra, like right where we are, actually. Let's go to the Luna stables. Yay, look, I teleported like 2 feet away. Oh my god, that's terrible. Yeah, so anyway. Oops. So anyway, yeah, that wasn't the best example. Why don't I show you, I don't know if you can do this without an expansion, but there's a famous, if you go to Tokeno Makoto Jima, there's a famous rune library right here. Goodman Goodman's Rune Library. Oh my god, I'm losing my mind. Anyway, this is one of the most famous rune libraries, and it just has just runes to everywhere you could imagine. And so you could really explore the entire game. Okay, so let's finish talking about these skills. We got Divine Fury, which is a really, really useful spell. You'll use it all the time. It increases how fast you swing, which is super important, how much damage you do, and your likelihood of landing a blow. It has the drawback of decreasing your chance of defending blows, but it's quite good. Dispel Evil, I don't know, I never really use it. I guess it makes hostile monsters leave you alone. They'll stop aggroing you, and it has a chance of getting rid of summon things like revenants and stuff, which some monsters will summon on you, and it'll just poof them away rather than you having to kill them. Enemy of One is incredibly useful. You cast it, and then the next monster you hit becomes orange. For as long as the effect lasts, you do 50% more damage to that specific monster type. Like if it's a gargoyle, you do 50% more to all gargoyles, and they'll all show as orange. And then, but any other type of monster deals double damage to you. So mainly, it's just good for fighting one type of monster. If there's other monsters around, you don't want to use it. Usually, you'll use it when you're fighting like some big boss monster, like a champ at the end of a spawn. And of course, the duration of that's based on Karma too. Holy Light here does weak area damage, more Karma. Noble Sacrifice is the one that requires the most skill to use, and it allows you to resurrect players. So you can resurrect. It resurrects players all players in a radius of you. So if there's a bunch of dead players around you, it'll resurrect them all, and it also heals HP based on how much karma you have, and it also lowers your HP, mana, and stamina all to 1. So it just gets you right down to almost dead. So if you're near any monsters when you do this, you're going to die immediately. So you got to walk away to some safe location and res a bunch of people. It's the spell you want to cast to gain in chivalry when your chivalry is really high. It will give you the most gains definitely quickest. What I used to do is I would actually use Noble Sacrifice in Luna, and then it would take my HP down to 1, and then I could use bandages until I'm back up, and then by that time my mana had increased and I could use it again, and so you could gain chivalry and healing really fast. If you're going to gain in healing, though, it's better to heal people next to you and to heal other people, because the lag between heals is smaller, so you heal faster when you heal other things, other players, and so you can gain quicker that way. If you're high in healing and you want to get higher, the best way is to have a dead player just stand next to you, and you just keep trying to res them, and that'll be your fastest gain. Lastly, a lot of people don't know this, but having lower regent cost, which is a property you can get on items, and most people think that it's just good for mages, but having lower regent cost actually lowers the tithing points used from casting chivalry spells, which, I mean, I don't know. It's not worth seeking out items with that property for that, because it's just not that expensive. It's kind of negligible, but it's a bonus if you just happen to have it anyway on your suit and you didn't specifically look for it. So some comments about training the skills. Let's look at her skills again. Basically, you train anatomy and tactics and swordsmanship just by melee fighting. You just walk around and fight things, and they'll gain together. Anatomy can also be trained by using bandages on yourself and other people, which is how you train healing. Being attacked while wearing a shield trains parrying, and being cursed and poisoned trains resisting spells. So a lot of this you'll just train inadvertently just by playing the game. However, there are tricks to gaining skills faster, and you can look them up on like UO Guide or something like that. But like for parrying, for instance, you can not equip a weapon but equip a shield and aggro a bunch of like farm animals. Like for instance, If I go to Tremel Moonglow, I'll see a bunch of farm animals just walking around probably. Yeah. Usually there's like whatever, like there's a boar and a deer, whatever. Get a bunch of those like sheep and stuff aggroed on you, and you can get like 6 of them on you at one time. And every time one of them hits you, you'll have a chance to gain parrying. And so with 6 of them on you, you'll just gain a whole bunch. And if you have HP regeneration, if you have hit point regeneration on your suit, if you have enough of it, the damage you're taking will be regenerated quicker than they can do it to you, and you will just gain in parrying really fast. So there's tricks like this, and you can look them up online. So let's go over resists and stats real quick. If you pull your health bar out and you double click it, you'll see all these attributes, these stats and stuff. On the left here is your strength, dexterity, and intelligence. And then beside that, your hit points, stamina, and mana. And that's what showed before you double clicked it. So hit points, mana, stamina. I don't know why they switched the order of mana and stamina on the bars. It's really confusing. So let's talk about these 3 stats over here and what their purpose is, because they're central to every character, every build. First of all, they gain really, really fast. If you want to gain in one and not the others, or you're capped and you want to switch them, you do the same thing as with your skills. You can lock them. If I just lock these and I go fight stuff, I'll just gain in strength, and it happens fast. It's not hard to gain these at all. So strength determines one component of your hit points here. You just divide your strength by 2 and add 50, and that gives you your hit points. So divide this by 2, we get 17 plus 50 is 67. So that's our hit points. And that's your hit points before any hit point increase bonuses on your suit. Your strength also gives a bonus to the damage that you do. So you take 30% of whatever your strength is. So your strength is 34. So 30% of that is something like 11. And so for me, 11%, I would have 11% extra damage done because of my strength. So that's the percent increase to the damage of your melee attacks. And if you have 100 or more strength, you get a 5% bonus to that. So your strength also determines how many stones you can carry around with you. Stones are like the unit of measurement for weight in the game, and that's shown here. You can carry 219 stones, and that's determined by your strength. And I'm currently carrying 41 in my bag. Well, okay, I'm carrying 19 in my bag, and I guess the rest of it is on my items. So you can see like the sword is 2 stones. So, and lastly, pieces of armor have strength requirements. So like if you look at this sword, it has a strength requirement of 25 on it. So if my strength was less than 25, it would just, when I try to wear it, it would say I don't have the strength to wear it or something like that. And it would drop in my pack. So when you're making your build, even if you're a mage, whatever, you got to have your strength up to at least a certain bare minimum amount. I mean, you're going to want it anyway because it's your hit points, but if it's not enough, you can't wear certain items. I mean, there's certain items that have over 100 strength requirement to wear, so a mage is just not going to use them unless they have a lot of increases on their suit. But something to pay attention to is that you can get cursed by monsters, and that will drop the strength that you have temporarily. And if that brings you below the strength requirement, things on your suit will drop in your pack, and that's terrible because all of a sudden all the bonuses for your resists and everything are not on you anymore. So it's good to have a little wiggle room in your strength, so you that doesn't happen to you. Okay, so let's talk about dexterity. Dexterity determines stamina, but this time 1 for 1. So our stamina is exactly what our dexterity is, but the stamina can be increased by stamina increase bonuses on your armor too. Stamina determines how fast you swing your sword, how quickly you apply bandages, and your parrying success rate. So it's incredibly important. In general, for this build, your speed is more important than damage, hence the term Dexter in the build. Stamina is depleted when you take damage or carry too much weight, or if you go through a gate to another facet. Your suit like falls off for a second and goes back on real quick. It's like the server updating what you're wearing, and your stamina will drop. So every 30 stamina points increases your swing speed by a quarter of a second per swing. Then you can increase the speed even more with swing speed increase property, which is here. But that's another story. So stamina depletion in battle slows you down, and so regenerating stamina with the stamina regeneration property on your gear, or more effectively leeching it based on the damage you inflict with a stamina leech property, which could be on your weapon, is really, really useful for this build to keep you swinging quickly. Intelligence just determines your mana and affects damage done by spells, which isn't really important for chivalry. And it's not important for this build, except you want to have enough mana to cast the chivalry spells. And you'll also use mana in this build for using your special abilities for this weapon. So we talked about that. You needed like a minimum tactics and swordsmanship skill to use them. So what you do is you click this icon here on your paper doll, and these are the two. And these are the two special abilities. You can drag them out, and then what you do to use them is you double click them, and that'll toggle them. Now it says, oh, I don't have the mana. But if I did have the mana, it would say that, my intelligence isn't high enough to use it. But even if I did have the mana, it would say that I don't have enough tactics. So for this one, I would need 70 tactics and 70 swordsmanship, and for this one, I would need 90. I think it. Let me see. For primary, you need 70, and for secondary, you need 90 of both weapon skill and tactics. So these will use mana too. There is a maximum sum of dexterity, strength, and intelligence that your character can have, and that's listed here. It starts at a cap of 225, but if your account is over 6 months old, your characters have +5 to that, so that's why this is 230. And then you can increase it by another 25 with a white stat scroll, which I think is obtained at like champion spawns and stuff, but you can buy them. And then you can increase it with another scroll, another 5, which is some new scroll that's worth like 13 million gold. I'm not sure the source of that scroll. And so it's possible to get a cap of 260. So that's what you want eventually. We have hit chance increase and defense chance increase, which both cap at 45. Hit chance increases your chance of the swing getting through, and defense chance increase decreases the chance of theirs getting through. So they're like complements to one another. You want to try to get both of these as close to 45 as you can for a good dex build. This is your damage range, percent damage increase, which is an ability on gear you can have. It does exactly what it sounds like. It increases your damage by that percent. This is the number of pets you have. You got a horse, so you got 1 out of 5. Your swing speed increase, which is super important. A rule of thumb, it's not actually totally accurate, but approximately 10% of this is comparable to an increase of 30 to stamina. So like 10% of this will increase your speed by 1/4 of a second about. So the cap right now is 60%, and it's rumored that they're going to drop that to 40 eventually, but so it's a big deal. It really, really helps your character. You want to get that as close to 60% as you can. Items with that property are generally worth a lot because it's so impactful. And so finally there's resists, which are over here. Basically every monster and weapon does damage in the form of some combination of the 5 damage types. There's physical, fire, cold, poison, and energy. Nowadays, it's much easier to cap these, so most people just have all these at 70s with their armor, because the armor is much better than it used to be. Monsters also have resist, just like you, so it's good to look these up. Look up the resist of the monsters you're fighting. So you can say use a 100% fire damage weapon. Like the one that you start with it says physical damage 100%. You can have one that's fire damage 100%, for instance. And so you would use a 100% fire damage weapon if a monster you're going to fight is weakest to fire damage. So this is what that spell Consecrate weapon does. It forces whatever damage you're doing to be the type that your foe is weakest to. So if you're fighting something that's really weak to poison and you use this, all of a sudden you're going to do way more damage. And then one of the last things to discuss is that items have what's called durability on them. So this is durability 100 out of 100. Most items have a cap durability of 255, and you can increase the durability by using this item called Powder of Fortification. But basically, as you fight, some items as you fight, some items as you get hit, some items as you cast spells, the durability will decrease, and it'll go all the way down slowly, all the way down to 0. And if you don't repair it, you can lose your items. So it's really important to get used to repairing these things. And basically the way that you repair them is you find a player vendor or ask a player who crafts, you would ask a blacksmith for a blacksmith repair deed to repair things that a blacksmith would make. Or you would ask a player with carpentry to make you a repair deed for, say, a wooden shield, because carpentry is like wooden stuff. Or a tinker for jewelry like rings and bracelets. And what you do is you can usually get these off NPCs. I mean, not NPCs, player vendors for like 25 gold or 5 gold or something. They're super, super cheap. So go find somewhere that has them. You take a blacksmith repair deed, say, to repair this sword, and then you go to a blacksmith NPC. Here's a blacksmith NPC. You click the deed and click your item, and then what usually happens is the max durability drops by 1. And then your actual durability goes up to the new max. So if this went down, I'd use it, and most likely the max durability would go down to 99, and then it would go back. The actual durability would be 99, so it'd be 99 out of 99. And so it takes a long time to deplete an item down, but then you can increase the cap with Powder of Fort. Unless the item's brittle, antique, or imbued, then the durability can't be increased with powder. So those all eventually just break. I guess the devs added that feature not that long ago because I guess the game's 20 years old and people are just hoarders. Because there's player housing, people just hoard like tons and tons of stuff, and it never goes away, so they needed something to fix that. So one other thing that a noob has to know is that you can click yourself and go to toggle item insurance and click any item that you have. And that will cost you, see, that costs 10 gold for this item. Different items cost different amounts. It usually ranges from like 10 gold to anywhere to like maybe 3,000. And every time you die, you end up losing that amount of gold. You can check how much gold that you would lose by just going to the insurance menu. This is also a good way to find out how much gold you have in the bank too, anywhere you are. So you don't have to be at a bank to know that. So I have auto reinsure on. That means when I die, everything gets auto reinsured. So I'll lose more gold. But the gold's so negligible that I really recommend keeping everything insured. That means that nobody can steal it, and when you die, the items do not fall on your corpse. They fall into your pack, and when you're resurrected, you have them again. And when you click your body, it'll go right back on your paper doll, and you'll never lose those things. So anything valuable at all that you don't want to lose, you want to insure. Because even if you're not in Felucca and you're fighting monsters and you die and your thing's not insured, your body decays in a few minutes. So if you can't get back to your body and loot it, all your items are going to disappear forever. So insure all your stuff, like, very important. So you can see, like, in this menu, some things are checked and some aren't. You can check more stuff and insure it. This tells you how many, what your total cost of insurance is and how many times you can die with the amount of gold that you have in your bank. So yeah, I'm going to insure my shoes, I guess. Okay, so the very last thing I want to do is just show you Luna outside the town. Basically, Luna is the it used to be the main marketplace of the game. I guess in some ways it still is, but with vendor search that kind of changed. But Luna, basically, you run around Luna, and this is where all the most expensive items are going to be up for sale. You look at these items, like everything's in the millions. But you can get a good idea for what items are worth. Maybe there's a little bit of a margin on them here because it's the most frequented area. Vendor search kind of screwed that up. But yeah, these houses in real life, these houses will sell for thousands of dollars, thousands of US dollars for these houses because they're so exclusive and so highly trafficked. I wanted to quickly show you. These are the scrolls I was talking about that you can't use as a trial account. These are called Scrolls of Transcendence, the pink ones, and you get them at spawns. So you play a champion spawn, and they'll just pop in your pack. And generally, they're worth about, depending on the skill, most skills are worth about 100,000 gold per 0.1 skill. When you click these things, it just gives you that skill. If I bought this and I clicked it, I would get 0.5 magery just added to my skills. So that's kind of nice if you're having trouble gaining your skill and you're up there real high where it's hard to gain. And then these increase your caps. They're called power scrolls. So if I clicked this, it would increase my tactics cap to 110. So if I wanted to go to 110, I'd have to use one of these. It's best to just, if you want to go to 120 in the end, to just wait and when you can afford it, buy a 120. So, but you're a new player, so it's kind of as a new player, Luna's just going to be way too expensive. Everything's way too expensive. So I suggest like leaving Luna and walking on the dirt path here and just looking around for what these vendors have outside because they're going to be more in your price range. One set of vendors I really want to show you that's great for new players is this vendor mall here, and it's ran by Kat, this player Kat. She has this she has repair deeds here. So like I was telling you, like here's blacksmith repair deeds. So I could buy a repair deed and I could show you in Luna if I go back to the NPC. If I was standing next to the NPC, I could click this and just repair my katana. But also, the most important is marked rune books. This is a great vendor. She must be a scribe and she can make rune books. And like if I wanted a rune book of all the mage shops, I don't really want that. Let's see. Let's say I want, whatever, I want Felucca cities. 25,000 gold, pretty easy to gain. I can buy a rune book that has all the Felucca cities in it. And now, and this is blessed, I can carry it around. Blessed is like insured, but you don't have to pay insurance on it. It's just forever, never leaves your body. So that's great. So I can just go through and I'll always have this on me. If I want to go to Cove, I can just teleport there. And ta-da, I'm there. But I'm in Felucca, so people can kill me. So that was... Anyway, let's go. Let's go back. So it's great to stock up on these rune books. Like, that vendor sells, like, all the Tremel towns, which is what you would want. You'd probably want a book with, like, Doom on it, which is one of the dungeons. Like, you could get a Tremel Dungeons book. You could get any facet. You could get all the main locations. And then you'll just always have it on your character and you can navigate. So we're going to go back. So you can look around and see like, oh, this is 10k. Oh, you can see this weapon is red for the strength requirement because I don't have enough strength to use it. Now, I know, so as a trial account, you're not going to be able to use vendor search, but you can ask other players to use it for you to help you out. And you can get them to get you a ring and bracelet set for swordsmanship and stuff like that. So this one you can't use because of the strength requirement. Also, it says gargoyles only and you're a human. Oh, here's gloves for 8. That looks okay. So now I got gloves, so it gives me 3 more dexterity, 2 more mana, some lower region costs, some better resists. I can look at my resistor up and stuff. So anyway, just run around, look at vendors, and get a suit set up. So the other thing that we're gonna do real quick is we're gonna go to back to Haven and show you where you can train up the remainder of the skills. Let's see, yeah, I got a good amount. The remainder of the skills on our wish list. All right, so now that we have money, here's the guild master. So we want to train anatomy for $3.99. Bam. All right, we want to train parrying for 400. We want to train. Really? Nice. Cool, we got higher healing than the healing guild mistress. Train tactics for 400. And that's it. Okay. And we could probably go train resist spells. Alright, so now we kind of got our build. This is nice. So I put on some really bad noob armor. Just so we could fight some stuff real quick. And show what combat's like, I guess, a little bit. Let's go to Moonglow's a great place to fight stuff when you suck. Let's kill this Mongbat. Yeah. That's right. Let's kill this Hind. Nice. So powerful. So yeah, you go to war mode and then you can just click stuff and kill it. So yeah, whatever. Hopefully that was helpful, and you'll kind of know what to do when you log on to UO for the first time. Thanks for watching. Bye.